Hi there, everyone. Meteorologist Jan Reihert, as well as Corey Thompson here in the Weather Lab. We've also got Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters here, here to let you know about everything that's going on in terms of our severe weather out there today. We are currently tracking a tornado warning down to our south. So that's, again, the southern parts of the TV9 viewing area.
There are at least one, maybe two tornadoes on the ground with this storm. It's starting to reorganize, but you can see that cone shape. It was in contact with the ground, at least. I believe it still is. You still see a little bit of debris here on our view from our Sigourney City cam. So that is a pretty significant situation. Some more confirmation of what we already know, but you can see that storm producing a tornado. It's pretty significant, and this, I think, is the second one. The first one, I believe, is still obscured by rain as it's moving to the northeast, but you can still see quite a bit of debris circulating around the bottom part of it, and so it is likely still producing some pretty strong winds within that tornado, even though it doesn't look, incredibly wide. It doesn't have to be wide to do a lot of damage. At this point, it's lost a little bit of its definition, but that's the area of the storm that we're looking at on our Sigourney City cam there. Very intense winds at the very least.
You kind of see that green to the sky as well there.
Yep. Yeah, the wind picked up significantly. It's actually jostling our camera.
Yeah, we're not moving
I was
that
going
right
to say,
now.
that's not us moving the camera.
Yeah, so this is possibly a tornado moving through Solon.
Some debris or something in the sky that was moving through.
Yep, you could see it as it was going
that
by.
looked like a roof.
That was a roof. That
roof just got lifted off.
Tornado moving through the area.
Downtown Solon.
Main Street.
If you are in Solon, get to your basement now.
Main Street and Highway 1.
And you can see on the right side that roof lifted right off.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. You can see that there.
That's how quick it happens. That's why when warnings are issued, you need to take them seriously and get into a safe place immediately.
Yeah, if it wasn't a tornado, it was very intense winds, but I think we probably witnessed a tornado move through Solon.
I think so. Hopefully everybody has been listening and is safe. It's scary stuff. There's no denying it. And now look how calm it is in that
Doesn't
quick.
take long.
Again, very fast-moving storms, very intense motion with these storms, and violent motion with these storms.
Bear with me. I'm going to pan around a little bit, see if we can see a bit more about that area on Main Street and Market Street, which I believe is the local name for Highway 1 that rolls through.
Yes, it is.
Yep,
that's Highway 1
that
there.
Building houses a restaurant as well?
Down just below there is the Mexican restaurant there. We're kind of panning along Highway 1 right now.
There's the roof.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's possible that was that could have been some circulation around the area of rotation. You can see that damage, that roof that landed on top of that hardware store, I believe, on Highway 1, also littering Highway 1 on the lower right corner of your screen. So travel there obviously is going to be a problem.
Brian, what are you seeing where you're at?
Yeah, we are right off Highway 6. You can see behind me, power lines toppled down. Crews right now working to pick up trees that have been toppled over. The roof on the apartment complex directly behind me ripped off. I'm here with Dimitrik Byers. Dimitrik was here, lives here, saw everything happen. Can you kind of just talk with me? What exactly did you hear? What did you see?
So pretty much, I was honestly playing the video game, and the power just went out. When it went out, you heard a big boom, and clearly that was electricity. Then we looked out the window, like my window faces right towards that roof. The roof just completely snatched off and started ripping over cars. There was cars that were moving pretty much. I just really hope everyone's okay and the storm is over,
When you looked outside, you saw all of this. I mean, this is a crazy scene. What's going through your head?
Honestly, the only thing that's going through my head to make sure my family and everybody else's family okay, and to make sure that regardless of this situation, everybody gets reimbursement. Everything's just taken care of. Appreciate first responders and everybody being here to be able to help. And I just want to wish everybody okay.
Now, you said you live close. How close are we talking? And can you kind of describe what your house looks like right now?
Not even 10 feet right now. My house is okay. Some people in my building, pretty much, they experienced it. But my house is okay, thanks to the Lord in prayer.
Thank you again for joining us. Again, we are on 9th Street on Highway 6 near Corville. You can see first responders coming down 9th Street right now. We have crews working to pick up tree. There's debris all over the tops of some of these roofs. The roof on the apartment complex directly behind me is completely ripped off. Siding is pushed in some of the treeways. You can see wood debris also on top of some of the other apartment complex. Very scary scene here. Live in Coralville, Brian Tabbitt, KCRG, TV 9 News.
We have numerous crews out. TV9's Becky Phelps is live in downtown Solon, joins us, and we saw that they had damage live from our city cam. Becky, what are you seeing right from the downtown area?
We are here in Solon, right in front of a hardware store and a Mexican restaurant that has seen some storm damage to their roof. So I'm going to step out of the way here so you can get a better look at that. But up at the top, you can see some bricks exposed, and we've seen some first responders driving around town, checking in with people about damage and things like that. Driving into town, we saw through some housing developments, some minor damage there to homes, some playgrounds blown over, trampolines damaged, and here downtown there are some minor tree branches down, pieces of siding in the sidewalk. And we spoke with some people here in town really quick who say that the storm felt like it moved through fast, and it went fast for them, although it was a scary experience for them. So again, we are here in downtown Solon, seeing some minor damage to buildings here. We're going to throw it back to you guys.
We return to the Coralville Strip right now. Libby joins us, KCRG. And Libby, what are you seeing in Coralville? We've seen that there's been a lot of damage in many locations.
Well, Joe, let me start by telling you that getting here to Coralville, it was a pretty smooth trip, but as we got closer to this area, we're along Highway 6 right now, traffic started to slow down. We soon found out that was because a lot of the power is out at these businesses along Highway 6. As you may be able to see behind me, and actually I'm going to step out of the way so my photographer Brad can show you a better image, there's a lot of power poles down along Highway 6, along the railroad tracks that run along Highway 6. And just down Highway 6, we've seen a lot of businesses be affected by this weather here tonight. We saw one, I believe it's a painting company, a lot of their warehouse has been affected. There's a lot of damage there. We saw one side of the warehouse completely torn off by the weather that they saw here this evening, and a lot of their, what I'm assuming is inventory, a lot of their supplies scattered along Highway 6. Again, as you may be able to see, these poles down along the railroad tracks, and there are many vehicles along this way that I'm assuming Iowa DOT, law enforcement, as you may be able to see, other people as a part of these crews that are working to help protect these travelers along Highway 6 and eventually, hopefully, get the power up along this very, very busy street.
If you look at the house behind me, you can see right into what looks like a living room of some sort where people would gather. All around me, you've got debris, whether that's wood, metal, it's insulation, probably from where the house is. The house to the left of me, the entire top level is gone. Nick, if you want to go ahead and pan over there. I can't move over there because of all the debris around me, but this is what you are seeing. People have now started to work together, trying to start picking up some of this debris. You can see, Nick, if you want to pan to the right here, people are starting to move some of that siding, getting friends, family all together, moving all of that to their front of their lawns here. But again, the amount of damage is absolutely devastating. Again, debris everywhere. People have started to board up their windows. You can see cars, smashed windows on those cars. I was speaking to a gentleman earlier this afternoon who he's here visiting, but he's helping his family find pictures that were blown away in the storm, those valuable things that you really just cannot replace once they're gone. He's finding them on people's front lawns. So again, devastating is that word that I'll use. Live in Hills, Brian Tabbitt, KCRG, TV 9 News.
Tonight, people are looking to recover after several tornadoes struck eastern Iowa. We have First Alert Storm Team coverage, but first, take a look at this. You are looking at video from our Solon City Cam as it captured live pictures of what appears to be a tornado ripping through the city. And tonight, residents in Solon aren't the only ones picking up the pieces.
Delaware County opened a shelter earlier tonight. It was open for a few hours due to the storm damage in Manchester for people to seek refuge. There's also a shelter open in the community of Hills. It's at the community center south of Iowa City, again because of storm damage. The storms devastated people's homes and businesses there in Hills. And this is video as a tornado approached Wellman. You can see it spinning off in the distance as large tornadoes on the ground there. We've taken reports from viewers of damage southwest of Wellman where homes were destroyed.
Seeing it over and over again, and more than 26,000 people across the state of Iowa right now have no power. The vast majority of those are in eastern Iowa, Grundy, Delaware, Van Buren counties having the most outages compared to other nearby counties after this storm. Now, Johnson County's emergency management says it is responding to the damage caused by all these tornadoes today.
And we're starting our coverage in Johnson County in the community of Solon, where KCRG TV9's Becky Phelps joins us live. Becky?
Thankfully, no one was injured when this tree behind me fell and hit a home during today's storms in Solon. The family who lives in this home tells me they were in the cellar during all of the storms and couldn't tell what had happened until they came up and looked around. Now the tree was ripped up by its roots and fell into the side of the house here, hitting into the garage and kind of cutting through the side of the house here. You can see the view from inside. Earlier today, branches just hanging into the garage, insulation everywhere, covering the floor, the cars in the driveway. The storm also sucked the garage door off of the house, leaving it sitting in the front yard. Everyone I've talked to today in Solon says the storm felt like it moved through quickly. I talked with one woman who rode out the storm with her father in his basement before coming home and seeing what her neighborhood looked like.
After the storm was over, I went to walk home and I saw a big pile of cedar trees, and I was like, well, those must have come off of the other neighbor's tree, and lo and behold, I get to my house and I find out that it had just fallen behind my bus and did not hit the bus, but they were actually my trees that the limbs had been pulled.
In downtown Solon, two businesses, a hardware store and a Mexican restaurant, had significant damage to their roofs, with parts literally flying away. Those businesses are blocked off by caution tape tonight. Part of the debris landed behind the businesses, and the work to clean all of that damage up got started very quickly. City crews and first responders were all across Solon today working very hard to help people identify the damage and clean up tree debris off of roads and sidewalks. Everyone we talked to said they were very grateful to live here in this community with that support. Live in Solon, Becky Phelps, KCRG TV9 News.
And this is drone video from Tipton in Cedar County. You can see some damage to homes and trees in this particular neighborhood. Some homes even had part of their roofs that were torn off. The good news is that time and time we have not heard of any serious injuries, and that's a key part to this story.
Yeah, and no fatalities. Given how many tornadoes were pushing through eastern Iowa one time, we know that can happen. So in the community of Hills, an emergency shelter has been set up for families who have nowhere else to go. That's where we find KCRG TV9's Brian Tabak reporting for us live. Brian?
Yeah, Beth, not a lot of families utilizing the community center, though. The mayor does tell me there are a couple dozen people whose homes are uninhabitable tonight. In the town of Hills, just off Old 218, families are in cleanup mode after the storm left debris thrown across yards, insulation covering lawns, and twisted metal siding thrown across structures.
It's heartbreaking, but stuff's replaceable and everybody's healthy, and so that's what's great.
Kyle Schneider was at his father's house when the storm rolled through. This is what he came home to. A wall torn from the side of his house.
Oh, you can't live in that thing. The structure's not stable underneath that house, so.
Schneider's home is too damaged to live in tonight. His plan is to take his family to his father's. Others walk the block looking for irreplaceable memories.
There's so much of pictures of families and all their belongings.
They're our friends. Some of them are her grandson, and some from her in high school. So they're pretty important.
The damage from this storm is fresh in the minds of those like Schneider who live here, but they're just thankful for friends and family ready to help a lending hand in his family's time of need.
When you see your house damaged and stuff, and they're the first ones there when you call.
The mayor of Hills tells me that he has requested some extra Johnson County Sheriff's deputies to kind of watch over that area just off that old 218 cleanup. That starts tomorrow. The mayor tells me that they've requested dumpsters and dump trucks. They're still working on a plan of where they're going to put those at this time. Live in Hills, Brian Tabbitt, KCRG TV9 News.
All right, thank you, Brian. Delaware County Emergency Management opened a shelter for a few hours this evening due to storm damage. It is now closed, though. Emergency Management says a suspected tornado caused extensive damage throughout Manchester. Ken Gracie sent us these photos after waiting out the storm at a gas station in Manchester, and he says winds threw barns into ditches and destroyed sheds and power poles.
Well, you can hear them just snapping. It just sounded like a twig, you know, just like if you took a twig and just snapped it across your knee, it was snap, snap, snap. And next thing you know, all those power lines just went down.
He says he saw power poles down for more than a quarter of a mile. Delaware County Emergency Management saying as of this time there are no reported injuries there. Our first alert weather coverage continues in Coralville tonight. Many businesses, hotels and homes along Highway 6 are still without power right now.
Yeah, right there on the Coralville Strip. KCRG TV9's Libby Randall continues our live team coverage. She shares more from two business owners who were just yards away from the most severe damage.
Along Highway 6 in Coralville, many businesses like the ones behind me are seemingly untouched. But if you take several steps in the opposite direction, you can see how much damage this storm really did. A tornado split this group of businesses along Highway 6 in half as it made its way through Coralville. Debris from some of those places are strung out across the street. Power lines and power poles cover the train tracks that run alongside US 6. The owners of Miro, Martial Arts, and Accurate Home Inspections, both located in that same building, are beyond relieved, as the only thing they lost was power.
I just closed on the business on Monday, and so I just bought it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been here 15 years, and it's just like I'm looking at the devastation of other businesses, and I'm feeling like really, really blessed.
I wasn't sure what to expect with that tornado that touched down. I thought maybe it was going to be a lot more disastrous than what it is right now. I do feel for this side of the building, though, the owners over here, though, with the damage they have.
Several of those business owners tell us the Iowa Department of Transportation, Coralville Law Enforcement, and Mid-American Energy crews are working to bring back power as early as Saturday morning. In Coralville, Libby Randall, KCRG TV9 News.
And just about an hour ago, a shelter opened in Coralville. The Red Cross is operating that shelter at the Coralville Recreation Center. That's on 8th Street. And there will be cots, blankets, as well as food for anyone who needs it from the storm. And once those storms passed, it was almost eerily calm. We even saw rainbows and blue skies in some areas.
And it was absolutely amazing how quickly those storms did pass through. I mean, you saw the video in Seoul, and it was like, what, 90 seconds of intensity.
If that. Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, they did move on quickly between about 2 and 7. That's about what you were expecting from the western edge of the viewing area to the eastern. Now they're long gone. Let's look at a review of what happened this afternoon on pinpoint Doppler radar. See, starting at about 1 o'clock as it loops back. Storms developed in south central Iowa, spread to the northeast. That was the first wave, and a second wave developed on its backside, pushing to the northeast from there. They continue to push east now. In fact, the front and its associated storms in central Indiana. That one storm that passed from near Ottumwa up through Johnson County into southeastern Lynn and western Jones County, that's the one that produced the most serious tornadoes we saw all day. In fact, here's a radar representation of where the rotation passed. So that's a generic path of where what may have very well been one tornado for a good portion of it before lifting and probably producing a couple more before that storm started to get absorbed into the greater line. So it was a pretty active afternoon. In fact, you see all those tornado reports associated with that storm stretching from Wapello County up into northern Washington County. Other reports in Poweshiek County, and plenty of reports across all of the state of Iowa. At least 178 at latest count, and we will still add some more to this. Good news is now is that things have quieted down, at least in terms of the weather and precipitation and storm activity. Winds are still very strong, gusting out of the west between 31 miles per hour and Dubuque, 14 miles per hour in Washington. We're going to keep those strong westerly winds around for at least a little bit longer. Temperatures tonight will be dipping into the low to mid 30s. You can scratch those scattered storms for the zone cast, though, instead. we have the potential for scattered snow showers. We'll take a look at who's most in line to see some snow overnight coming up in a bit.
Well, as you've seen, there's been plenty of activity going on here through the afternoon. Let's take a look at more of some of those damage photos that you guys have sent in. Thank you for sending those in on our U News channel there. Again, some storm damage in Manchester. We've seen that picture, several of pictures coming in from the Manchester area for us here as we've gone through the afternoon with that cell up there. Also, wind damage coming in. Julia sent in this picture near the Wellsburg area. Probably not associated with any tornadic activity, but just wind damage in that grain bin being blown over and kind of collapsing in on itself. Near the Martinsburg area, this kind of as that storm was just getting going, you can see that hog confinement substantial damage to that. That picture sent in by Lori. Trevor sent in this picture from the Wellman area. Again, a lot of damage in the Wellman area. Those trees, those cars kind of crumpled up. A classic signature there that we'd see. That tornado video coming in near Wellman as well from Richard. Again, very powerful storm. And another tornado video coming in near Kyoto where you can see both of those tornadoes moving through the area. Tipton as well, seeing a lot of damage. Remember, you can still send in your pictures to us on kcrg.com/unews.